and welcome to another kiln unloading. For those of you who are new here, my name is Danielle Turner Lawrence. My pottery studio is called Pine Lake Pottery, and I have a kiln unloading to be able to do, which is always, in my mind, like one of the best parts of pottery. I actually like it all, but in particular, opening a kiln is much like getting to open a present and sort of see kind of surprises that are inside. So this is my 1222 Scott. It is still a little bit warm. It's 259 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and pop the lid. I'm going to unload everything really quickly, which for you I'm going to just fast forward through, and then bring it down to my studio where you can see everything kind of in groups that make sense, and also with some better lighting and close-ups. So excited to see what I have inside. All right, everything looks pretty great. I'm gonna put on some gloves because it is 251 degrees, which is probably too warm. I know that I'll get lots of comments saying I should let my kiln cool to room temperature, but this is kind of the reality of what I do, and so I thought I would just kind of share what I actually do. So I'm gonna unload this and we'll see how things look. All right, everything's out. It is super hot in here. Pottery is still a bit hot. We're gonna take all this stuff, go down to my basement, and take a look at all the goodies. Hi, welcome down to the basement. I got all the pottery down here, and I'm ready to share some of the things that I pulled out of the kiln. So first, I'm gonna grab my glaze notebook because I seriously don't remember anything if I don't have this. And then we are gonna go ahead and get started. So first thing, and I group everything in combination, so you don't have to see me pull out like every single item that I have within my kiln. So I'm gonna try to group everything together, and there's a couple pieces for a lot of these glazes. So these are garlic graters. This is probably my favorite glaze to put on garlic graters because it always works. So this is Amaco Sapphire Float, and you can see here I have some dust on the back. That is alumina hydrate that I put on my kiln shelves to make sure that flat bottom pieces like these don't get stuck or stick to the kiln shelf. So these great sellers at markets, get a little handful that I'll show you in another glaze that I actually already sent off to somebody, but Amaco Sapphire Floats. And sometimes I get questions about like, how do I make these? I use a tool from One Hill Pottery. Let me actually grab it here and I'll show it to you. It looks like this. It's a little gear, if you will, on a bearing, and I'm able to put that in the center, and it makes these edges, which are super sharp, and so you can grate garlic or Parmesan or hard chocolates or kind of anything else that you want within a dip. So these work really well. And I'll put a link for this in the description. All right, let's do this actually next because there's some more garlic graters here. Okay, so this is also kind of a fan favorite, single glaze. This is Amaco's Rainforest, and this is a Celadon glaze, and I have a handful of things that I've done in this glaze. Okay, so let's first start off with these are just 2 spoon rests that I have. I think I probably put an extra coat on this because you can tell it's just a little bit dark, but this is Laguna B-Mix clay, which is what was on the prior garlic graters, and so those look great. These are also Rainforest, 3 coats typically. I had about 10 of these and I sent some off. These, you can see, because it's a Celadon, it's a transparent glaze, translucent I should say. And so my stamp on the back actually pushes up into the clay, and you can see that on the glaze. So I think I'd be careful when I stamp there in the future. And then this is this is an underglaze transfer that's underneath this from Sandbow Studios, I believe. Beautiful tray. The outline to this is actually from Plum Island Transfers. which gives this awesome sort of rim on it. And this is made with the GR pottery form. Flip it over, I have a foot. And then you're gonna see on all my trays, I've been adding a little something special underneath, which just, you know, I think when people flip it over, if they like it and they see that, kind of just adds to it. And then this one was actually a refire. Refires are tough because you never know what you're gonna get back out of the kiln. I had a spot on it, and you can actually still see the spot that's here, where the glaze kind of came up, and I thought, oh, I'll just recoat it in Amaco's Rainforest and it'll be great. Well, maybe it looks a little bit better in certain areas, but it actually looks way worse on the back. These are all either, you know, it feels like it's, they're pinholes. This is Laguna's 606 clay, which is a heavily speckled clay with manganese. It was not happy. So I think this is probably trash, or, you know, will end up in my own kitchen to kind of cover up some of the imperfections. All right, so that is Amaco's Rainforest. All right, let's go to a combination. Showed this combination in my last video and I love it. It is just gorgeous. So it is 3 coats of honey flux inside and out, and then 2 coats of midnight blue all the way around in the middle, a middle band, and then 2 coats of Amaco's iron luster at the top. And then I put a little bit more honey flux at the top to really help it run. Now, I was lucky because these got pretty close to the edge of the kiln there, you can see. But they didn't run off. And I typically, you can see that this looks a little bit muddied here. I typically only put 1 or 2 coats because I have had some plucking before, and I think it's coming from glaze on this inner foot ring. So I am just, love these. I think I said in the last video that I was likely to make an entire set of dishes with them for myself, and that's still the plan. And then I've been into making these little mini pots on my mini wheel. It's a small wheel, mini wheel by Small Ceramics, and so this is the exact same glaze combination on these mini pots. Adorable, right? Okay. All right, moving on. All right, so another favorite glaze of mine is Amaco's Fog. Works really well in a number of things, and so I'm going to show you it here. It's single glaze. I put 3 coats on each of these pieces, so you can see them here. And most of these pieces have an underglaze transfer on them. So just a couple of things. You can again see that aluminum hydrate from the shelves. So this is a new kind of pattern for me. It was actually an underglaze transfer that was in green. And I didn't know if I would love kind of the bright green, so I really softened it up with this Amaco Fog, 3 coats, front and back. I kind of, again, put this little thing on the bottom, which is kind of a nice surprise, but also really helps it from warping. I mean, these are totally solid, which I'm in love with. Same rim template that was used from Plum Island Transfer, same here. I believe this is an Elan transfer, underglaze transfer in black. Same thing, kind of have a little extra something special there. And then these, if I remember right, are actually underglaze transfers from Plum Island. And again, all of this made with GR pottery forms. And then lastly, this little spoon rest, which I think is so pretty. I am a little off center here, I see that, but this is a texture mat from the Pottery Toolkit. I actually have a discount code through them for 10%, so I'll link that there too if you're interested in that texture. All right. All right, moving on. So I recently got a new clay to me. It's Runyan's Speckled Buff. It's a buff stoneware with some specks in it. I'll go ahead and link kind of the description in the comments and give you a picture to show you here on the side here. But I wanted to see what some of my glazes look like on this. Many of you use kind of buff clays or buff clays with specks. I think they all are pretty similar in terms of kind of how glazes work with them, as long as it's kind of a toasty, glaze that has a little bit of iron in it, along with some speckles. So you can see here, this is what the glaze looks like when it is does not have clay on it. And I went ahead and just did a ton of different tests with it. And so I'm going to share those with you. So this is Laguna's Power Turquoise. This is 3 coats in and out. Totally love this. Just beautiful. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but in love with that. Okay. This is another one, again, Speckled Buff with Lavender Mist. This is 3 coats. Maybe I would have gone a little bit heavier on the outside, but I like the variation. Very pretty. And you can see here, actually, I do this with all of my glazes. I have a test tile in the top. This test tile happens to be Laguna B-Mix, but I put 1 coat and then 2 coats and then 3 coats, so I can kind of see how it does with texture. And then I oftentimes will make other glaze testers and then keep them either on a board or kind of, you know, in a container. So if I'm working with that clay, I can pull those out and take a look at it. So a good example of that I'll share with you, and this is not this clay. I'm working on kind of all the glaze testers for this clay. This is my sort of glaze sampler board, and I have more to add to it here for Laguna 606. So it really allows you to kind of get a sense of what the glaze look like and then know if you need 2 coats or 3 coats or possibly more. All right, and then just because I haven't gotten around to it, I also made one for Speckled B-Mix. And so I'll end up doing one for this one as well, but these are all different glaze combinations. Again, 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coat for Speckled B-Mix, so I can look at them. I primarily use B-Mix, which is why these are actually attached to the actual jars, but yeah, this has really worked well for me, and I'll end up doing a board for this new clay if I end up liking it, and I think I do, so I'll probably order more of it. All right. Okay, let me show you a failure here. Got to show you the failures too, otherwise you think everything in pottery is perfect, which it is not. I have bought like 3 jars of the Spectrum Floating Blue, and every time I use it, I am not happy with it. So I don't know what I am doing wrong or if it's just not meant to be, but I put 3 coats on this. This is again the Speckled Buff, but it ran all over the shelf. And I even did a mini and it ran all over the shelf, but you can even see it just ran right off the pot. And it looks beautiful at the bottom here, but clearly that is not ideal, but it has tons of pinholes. It worked okay when I put it, this is Amaco's Honey Flux all over this little pot, and then I put a band at the top, and then actually even a little bit more Honey Flux on the top, which is typically what I do. And yeah, that looks cute and thankfully didn't stick. So maybe I need to work it in with another glaze if I'm actually gonna find success with it. All right. This is Midnight Blue by Amaco. Again, 3 coats on the Speckled Buff. Pretty bland, actually. I knew it could be like this. My plan is actually to put a gold decal on this bowl. But it worked well with the clay. All right. Can never go wrong with Sapphire Float. I showed you the garlic graters earlier. I separated this just because I wanted to do all the Speckled Buff clay together. So this, again, is a Speckled Buff clay, 3 coats on here. Just love, I mean, I don't variegate it really that much, but it really does give you quite a lot of variation inside. And then I did it, you can kind of see the difference. This is on B-Mix, and then this is on the Speckled Buff, so you can really kind of see the difference there. Love that combination. All right, moving on. This is Spectrum's Bougainvillea, and really love this. It almost looks like candy to me. I don't know why this one kind of reminds me of candy. I'm going to show you another one really shortly that is shallot, and you really can't tell a lot of the difference between them, but this is 3 coats of Bougainvillea, 3 coats as well on this little vase that is speckled bee mix. And then this is what Bougainvillea looks like when you layer it on top of honey flux. So really cute. If you contrast that to this one here, which is shallot, it really looks quite the same. And maybe I'll even just grab the other one so that you can see. So this is Bougainvillea and this is shallot. To me, they look quite similar. I actually had to look at my notes earlier to be able to know that for sure. But yeah, so, and actually I think I just kind of switched them in my hands here. But you can see they're very close, looks very similar. This is shallot with on bee mix, so looks cute. Okay, put these over here. All right, here's another one that didn't work for me, but that's why you do these tests. I don't love always just doing test on test tiles, even though clearly I do that and I keep them. I think that's more for color reference. This really tells you how a glaze runs, and this did not do well. So this is Speckled Buff clay. This is 3 coats of pearl white. I've heard good things about this, that it's similar to honey flux. It looks very beautiful on the inside, although there's a couple really fine pinholes, but it ran right off the pot. It actually looks like it wanted to run off the pot with the bee mix, but got just kind of thick at the bottom. So this is another glaze I haven't really figured out by spectrum. All right, and then this is Mayco's Peacock. It's really pretty inside. It looks a little thin on the outside, so I may reglaze that and put it in because I really do like the inside. So this is 3 coats of Mayco's Peacock. All right, that is all for that new clay. So let me just show you a last couple more things here. So this is Smoky Merlot. This is more garlic graters. Big fan of this glaze as well. Just a nice purple. This is 3 coats on a Laguna's bee mix. And then this is actually what it looks like with honey flux, Smoky Merlot, 2 coats, and then a little bit more honey flux at the top. So cute little base. All right. All right, I have one more garlic grater. Actually, I tried a new combination. This is Amaco's Iron Luster. This is actually dusty again with the aluminum hydrate. Put 3 coats on this. I would not do that again. This is not, it is still sharp in here, but it is not nearly the same sharpness as the other garlic graters. So I actually do like the combination. I like the glaze. I just would not put 3 coats in the center. I would just put 3 coats everywhere else. Sometimes, you know, you can avoid putting that 3rd coat on the center to make sure that those ridges for the garlic grater show right up. All right. I have just a handful of trays to show you. I'll bring them kind of all over here at once. All right, so this is Amaco's Weeping Plum. It is 3 coats of Amaco's Weeping Plum. I really like that, turned out great. This is an underglaze transfer from Sandbow Studios. And then again, I've been doing a little extra something special at the bottom to kind of help with warping, but I think it adds to the aesthetic. So that's 3 coats Amaco's Weeping Plum. This is probably too thick. I knew it going in when I was putting it on, but I kept going because it was just thick in the jar, and I just kind of thought to myself, let's see how it turned out. So this is Amaco's Downpour. It's 3 coats. Actually looks great on the back, and I really love the color. Maybe obscured the underglaze texture a little, or transfer it a little bit. This is actually a royal blue underglaze transfer, so definitely isn't going to show up as much as the black does. All right, and then this tray is Amaco's Sky, also 3 coats over a blue underglaze transfer. This transfer is from Elan Transfers. It's a beautiful underglaze transfer with a couple different patterns actually on the sheet. And this turned out wonderful actually, and has a really nice sort of double foot ring on the bottom. So nice big tray. I think it turned out great. All right. And then I have a whole bunch where I just put Val Cushing's 2167 clear on. These are all done with 2 coats of clear. I find anything more actually obscures the texture or the pattern underneath. So I can just kind of go through these. So this one is a sandbow transfer. Love it. I think it's bright and cheery. Again, I did that kind of center piece. Again, really helped with slumping. If anybody's having problems when they make these large trays with slumping, I do dry these with weighted, with bags that are weighted on top of them, either filled with rice or kitty litter. Sometimes I actually use foam, but I dry them. They still will curve up, but I have found that because I do that, and then I make sure that that center support is there, whether it's a second foot ring or it's actually a decorative piece underneath, they kind of like slump back towards the kiln shelf and come out super flat. Like there's just no wiggle in them. And these sort of similar pattern, cute little trays. This is a butter dish, bright lemons. This is, I think this is sandbow underglaze transfer. This one is also sandbow, really cute. Didn't do a foot on this, flat bottom. Really don't have much warping, although a little bit. And you can definitely prevent warping if you put a foot ring on the bottom of your trays or plates that are rather large. All right, and then these are super cute. They're reasonably similar. Big difference is they have different little strawberries underneath, which are cute. This underglaze transfers from Elan Transfers. And again, this is Val Cushing's 2167. You can find the recipe online. You have to look to see if, all of the glaze components are still available. It usually calls for Gerstley Borate. There is a sub called Gillespie Borate that you can use, and it gives the same exact result. So I believe all of those components are still available, and this is a surefire thing. I have used several gallons of this glaze without any issue. All right, so that is the end of the kiln opening. I hope you learned something from this. Obviously, reach out if you have questions. Until next time, take care.